Hey guys, welcome back to the next episode of Same Page, Different Books. I'm Josh.
And I'm Tyler.
And today, similar to last week, we were talking about dealing with old people and the elderly, and how they can be peaceful and difficult. Today, kind of on brand, but the other end of the spectrum, dealing with children. So, boundaries, patience, and just trying to handle tiny humans. But first question is, if a kid roasts you, are you allowed to roast them back?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, you obviously have to roast them on their level. And honestly, I think a roast without expletives is honestly more creative. It hits a little harder than if you were just like, you bleep, And I also think that, you get more satisfaction out of it because kids just react a lot bigger to things. So, the devastation that you can kind of inflict, even though it's, minor and it's jokingly, it just explodes a lot when you do it with little kids. Plus, it's funny, and they usually get over it pretty quickly anyway. So, yeah, absolutely. Roast those little kids.
Yeah, I agree. 100%. I mean, I think it's situational, obviously, because, some kids, you just really can't. And it depends, where you are. But, like family, nieces, nephews, siblings, oh, you got it. You're getting roasted, and I won't hold back in that front. Because, we're related, it's okay. But, if it's, some random's kid, or, for me, because I sub from time to time, those kids, you, kind of have to roast them. Obviously, carefully. You can't, say anything that's too wild, that I would say to, one of my boys or, a family member. But, sometimes they need that.
I think a little bullying is good for character development. It kind of puts you in your place. You realize you're not the big bad wolf around town, and there are people that will roast you back to your face, and that gives you a little level of respect that's needed, I think.
See, I like that, but I want to use bullying. You gotta be careful. I just say strongly teasing them. But yeah, I'm teasing them hard. But that's what it is. Right. And next one is it okay to admit some kids are annoying?
Maybe not directly to their face, but that's tough. I think that if you go about it the right way, you can definitely tell the people that can do something about it, i.e. parents, teachers, things like that. I don't know that you should come out directly and be like, hey, by the way, your kid's really annoying. I can't stand him. But if you're like, look, here's problem A, B, and C, and why the others are problems. That's okay.
See, I disagree.
Okay.
But I think it depends on the wording. I'm not going to say they are annoying, because that's not who they are. I would say you are being annoying. I have no problem saying to a little kid, right now you're being annoying. Get out of my face. Leave me alone.
Okay.
I have no problem saying that to the parent too. Your kid is absolutely annoying right now. Or they were annoying today because they did this, and this. And they'd probably agree with me. I have no problem calling it out and calling it how I see it. They're annoying. They were a delight. Yesterday, subbed. This one kid, I'm not going to name drop. They usually piss me off often because they're just too comfortable. But one of the kids I met today, they were just you just give that vibe where I can just tell you anything. Don't tell me things. I don't need to know what happens in your life. But this one kid consistently just pisses me off. Yesterday, they were an angel. Threw me off. I was like, yo, okay, we switch it up. Then when the teacher came back at the end, they were just like, oh, Howard, this, and this. I was like, usually they're a headache. I'll keep it real. Said it right in front of them. I was like, usually they're a headache, and they know they are. But today, they were absolute delight. They helped me out. They're just like, you know what? That's real. Here's a ticket or whatever for them to get some prize. It's like, thanks, Mr. Love. Yeah. Just get away from me. But glad you were good today. So, if I would have just lied and gave him some BS response, oh, they were an angel, when they're not, I'm giving a disservice to myself, the teacher, the student, their parents, everybody else.
Agreed.
So, I'm going to call it how I see it. I would say to their face, you're annoying. Can you leave me alone, please?
For being annoying.
Exactly. Thank you for the correction. You are being annoying. Please leave me alone. But they get it. And honestly, I feel like kids today or children today are just different, where they're not as sensitive.
I know. And they're not afraid to just blurt out things that are crazy things to say.
Oh yeah, when we were off this episode, I got something to tell you about today, because good Lord. Oh my goodness. Next one. Should you discipline someone else's child if the parent won't? That one's tough.
That one is very tough. I think that you would probably get a different answer depending on what generation someone comes from. think it is. I think maybe not when the parent is like standing right there, but if you're like a substitute teacher or you're a coach or you're in any kind of situation where you're with children without other parents, then like I think then the onus is on you to be the disciplinary. But if the parents are there, I feel like that's tough. I don't know that I would have like the gallstones to like call out a kid in front of their parents, you know. I think I would just look at the parents like, we're not going to talk about this, we're not going to, okay, let it be, but.
Well, first off, not to sound wild, obviously not physically. I'm not putting my hand on a kid. We're just clearing that in. We're just putting that out there to begin with. Secondly,
I wasn't even thinking about that.
We gotta make sure. But second, I think it really depends on the act, on what the kid did.
Okay.
If it warrants to any type of discipline. But for me, it would obviously be verbal. But I think I would have no problem verbally disciplining someone's kid, even if they aren't there, or they are there, depending on what the kid did. Like, if they're bullying some kid, best believe I'll say something. Especially like some of the kids that I've worked with, they've got like Down syndrome or like severe autism. I have no problem roasting you or disciplining you respectfully. Not roasting you because I'm teasing, but I have no problem disciplining you and saying like, step to the side real quick so they don't hear what I'm about to say. Or let's go talk to a teacher. Or you're talking that way to like a cousin of mine or a friend of mine. We got a problem. But I think it depends. Like bullying. If they stole something, if they clearly lied about something, and if their parents there, they don't do anything, I think it'd be a disservice to myself, that kid, the parent, and everyone else that they possibly interact with, because if their parent doesn't say anything, it basically would be them knowing it's okay that I do this, and I can keep getting away with it. And if they don't get disciplined at home, or verbally confronted by me or another adult that has like some moral compass, then the world or society will take care of them and probably make things worse for them. Like they may be in jail or they get in trouble all the time. So I think I would be doing the right thing. So I have no problem.
So you're saying like in the end it's good because you correct the behavior before it gets to a point where it becomes really bad.
But I think like it also is like so situational. Like if it's a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old and like he took like a little kid's like snack, and I'm probably like, hey, you can't do that. And your parent, like, if the parent doesn't do anything, I'm just like, you can't do that. And I would just leave it at that. But then it goes to like greater extents if like somebody like hit another kid, I'd be like, yo, like, what are you doing? So I think it really depends on what they did, but then the age and all of that. So all of it ties in. But we're about discipline. We run a strict program over here. Next one. At what age should kids know how to act in public? This one's kind of tough.
What age should they know, or what age should they follow through with what they know?
Should they know how to act in public? Like they know?
I think there's a lot of kids that know how they should act in public, and despite knowing that, continue to act a fool in public.
Okay.
Or they know, and like, especially like, remember when you had siblings? Well, you still have siblings, but you remember when you were like younger with your siblings and you go to like the grocery store and like something like that. Like obviously now I can focus up enough to like walk through a grocery store and like pick up what I need and stuff. But when you're a little kid, like all I wanted to do was like mess around with my little brother. We'd like hop on the shopping cart. We'd be, flicking each other, doing whatever just to like create entertainment. Now, did we know that we probably shouldn't be doing that? Probably. But were we young enough that like that didn't matter and it was more exciting to like have fun? Yeah. So I think definitely by the time that you are in 3rd grade.
What age is that?
It's like 8 or 9.
Okay.
Like between 8 and 10, I think like you should be able to go out in public and be reasonably well behaved.
I absolutely agree. I think that is the perfect age range where you should know. Like you should know earlier than that. Like I would hope like around 4 to 7, like I should probably act like this. But you're still a little kid. You're figuring it out. It's okay if you're
Everything's
goofy.
brand new too.
Yeah. It's okay if you're goofy and you're like wilding out. That's okay with me. If anything, it's gonna be entertaining, funny stories for me and my wife to be like, this is how you wear it. Like that's cool. But I think like from 8 to 10, that's when like you're probably more social. You're definitely in school, you're hanging out with your friends, or you're playing sports and all of that. You better act like you got some home training, and don't think that I run a circus in my house. Like, you go sleep over at your friend's house? Yes, ma'am. No, ma'am. Yes, sir. No, sir. Please. Thank you. You're welcome. All those things. I need proper manners, eating etiquette. You better use a fork and knife or a spoon correctly. You better not use your hands at the table while they're all eating proper. Make me think that I'm crazy? So I think you need to have that home training, and I'd hope from at 8 at least, or 9 at least, but 8 to 10 for sure, that like you're capable of flipping the switch. It's okay if you turn it off a little bit at home, or like you're really comfortable with that family's house or at your friend's house, because they're like your second family or third family or whatever. But like, especially the first couple of times meeting somebody, I would hope they have show the home training.
Fair. Some good discipline and manners.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then the next one.
Don't you think though, like there's like adults I know that don't know how to act right out in public.
Yeah, I know.
So you hope.
I'm friends with some of them.
Right.
I'm friends with some of them. They know how they are. Like some of them we got to put a leash on. Like they were probably that kid, but we love them still. They managed to survive this long.
They found the spot at least.
Yeah, but I don't want my kid to act that way. I want my kid to have a proper home training, know how to act. I want my kid to like stand out in the sense where they're themselves, but I want them to be like a chameleon in the sense where they can morph into any type of situation where like they can blend in but also stand out and be themselves, if that makes sense. Like they can be around homeless people, they can act around good at school, they could act around like their sports teams, family members, church, all those type of things, and like just blend and mesh in well. I don't want them to stand out in the sense where it's negatively. You stand out positively with it. Right. But thank God, don't have to worry about kids anytime soon. Last one. Do kids mirror their parents, or are some personalities just pre-installed wild?
I would say the pre-installed is more the exception rather than the rule. Because I think that like most people kind of act similar to how their parents are, because that's who raised you and like that's who you're going to draw a lot of your personality from. But there's also like the times where you meet someone and they're just completely different from their parents. But I find that that's more an exception than the rule.
Okay. I think you have a pre-installed personality, and obviously like bits and pieces come from like your parents, but then also like I think everybody's unique in their own way. But I think how you like go about things and how you act is heavily decided and factored in by your childhood and how your parents raised you. Because I think like if one kid's spoiled rotten because like some girl, like let's just throw out a random name, like some girl named Emily, where she gets just spoiled, where her like daddy's girl, dad's like, oh, you want this, we got it. She's probably gonna grow up to be spoiled too, where like she's just gonna expect things to be handed to her if everything was always given. That's part of her personality to an extent. So I think your childhood factors in a lot of things, and I also am a firm believer, even if you have siblings, you may have grown up in the same house, you did not have the same childhood.
For sure.
Because like my older siblings did not go through the same things I did, same way my younger siblings haven't either. So I think your childhood and how you were raised by your parents definitely impacts heavily your personality and how you think when you're older. But I think like you're pre-installed with your own like thoughts and feelings and your own personality. Because in a lot of aspects I'm different than my mom and dad, but in certain things I can clearly see, oh, I probably got that from her, or I got that from him.
Fair.
Where I think this way because of what they allowed or what they taught me.
So in the like, because this reminds me very much of like nature versus nurture in that whole argument. Are you on the nurture side where you think that has more of an impact, or I guess you'd be more on the nature side because you think that people are kind of pre-installed personalities?
I would say nature is how you come in, and then nurture kind of tailors and sharpens it.
Refines it.
That's a better word. Yeah, it definitely refines it for sure.
Good. I can agree with that.
We're back. Now we're on the same page. Well,
You just solved the
we
debate, the
just solved
years-long
it.
psychological
Yeah.
debate of nature versus nurture.
you know, they
You're just-
better listen now. I mean, if you need us for any experiments or studies, we got the answers for you. Well, we talked about old people, now young people, and we'll see what we talk about next time. Hope you guys enjoyed.
Peace.